it.
She knows she's not supposed to, but she's like,
I know, that's why she's looking at me doing it. Hey! I said stop! Hey, no! Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast, The Jordan. We have a special guest here today.
That's probably going to be in the video.
That you'll probably hear a little sounds. I thought she'd be taking her nap right now, but she decided not to, so we're going ahead anyways.
Has a lot of energy. And
Yes.
here she comes
here
now. Fixing to welcome Miss Adeline into the video.
But we are glad to be back again this week, and I guess we'll start off with our rose and thorn.
You want to go first, or you want me to?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay, then you go and then I'll go.
Okay, I was trying to think earlier what mine were going to be. And I can't really think of a thorn again, but
I've got mine. If you need some time to think on it,
I know my rose, and so I'll go ahead and share it. My rose would be, I've been painting these Easter eggs, and the other day I was painting one, and it was of like Jesus with a sheep on it.
That was a sweet one.
And I was painting it, and Della was just, like playing and running around, and then she came over and was looking at what I was painting on there, and then she was just sitting there. She didn't really even say anything about it, but she was just sitting there, and she started singing, Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? And Adeline is trying to crawl through my stand that I have for the camera.
So if it's a little wobbly,
It's
that's why. A little shaky.
Yeah, a little shaky, keeps moving. Adeline.
We're doing the best we can today.
Yeah, we're working with what we can.
Got your lolly, taking care of your sister because we thought you was going to be sleeping.
But that was a really sweet moment, and I just thought, like most Sundays, I think, I don't even think about, what Della is getting out of it. I just think, the people around us didn't even get anything out of it because we're worried with her and Adeline.
But I mean, she does good. Though,
She does good, but I'm just saying, like, in that moment.
But you can tell, like, we're doing right because, like, she's like, as soon as the singing comes on, she wants to stand up here, like,
But I'm saying, in that moment, I thought, even if you think they're not paying attention, they are paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
And it does make a difference going to church every week, and because it is hard.
But it gets into a routine because, she was like planning her day out on Saturday, playing on the playground, grilling steaks, roasting marshmallows, and then waking up and going to church next morning. And
like she knows that's what happens on Sundays.
Yeah, so it's like, kind of already ingrained in her thinking that, Sundays we're going to church.
Yeah.
So what was your thorn?
My thorn. You go ahead with your rose.
You want me to do my rose or my thorn?
Your
first?
rose.
Okay, my rose would have been like turkey season has just opened up. Mm-hmm. So you're probably going to start hearing some references or either something to do with turkey hunting because I'm a big turkey hunter. But anyways, so my rose would be like I got to go hunt on a new property that I've never been to this week. And got there and I was just sitting there listening, hearing all the birds start chirping, coming to life, seeing the sunrise come up, watching God's creation just come to life. Like, I really just love that moment. Sunrises are my favorite, like, to just see. Mm-hmm. And then to hear that first gobble, of the season, it just makes you get all excited, and I was just really excited about it. And there's a lot of things in life that you get really excited about, and you think, okay, it's going to happen. And then I ended up, and I looked at the clock. I had the turkey at like 80 yards. I looked at the clock, and I was like, man, I'm already fixing to be late for work. I got to leave. So I had to leave the turkey and didn't even get to... I really think I could have killed him if I'd have been able to stay. But
that was your thorn?
That was my rose. Like, as far as like being able to just get to experience it. Like, even though it's not all about the kill, but just getting to be out there and enjoy God's creation. Yeah. Like, you know, that was my rose for the week. But my thorn was everything went pretty good all week long, weekend, and my parents needed me to help move. What would you call it?
Entertainment center.
An entertainment center that was made of pure oak that I did not realize was as heavy as what it was.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, that thing was so heavy. And me and my daddy was trying to get it out of the house. But, you know, I also think of like that, like it was so heavy, it was hard. And I always can like reference things like to where God, you know, is involved in the situation. And, I kind of thought of it as like, you know, like me and my daddy, like you need to look at things like you and your Heavenly Father at the same time. Because it's like, you know, even though something was hard and I was struggling with it, you know, I had my daddy there to help me along to get through a situation, to get it out. Same thing like, you know, with your Heavenly Father. Even though it was a thorn, it was still something that it was a teaching moment for me that I can learn from. So I always try to find a positive in every situation. And that was my rose and thorn, but also it was a good teaching moment. You know, it's not always hard. A thorn's not always hard. It can teach you on stuff.
That's good. Okay, so now we have our special guest over here. This is Adeline.
Say hey!
You wave. Okay, so I'm put it in.
Got all them toys. What about some pots and pans?
That's the loudest thing ever.
I know, but...
Okay, so I was trying to think of like where to go from here, what to talk about next, and what I just kept thinking about was kind of like, I think the question that everyone has thought at some point in their life is, why does God, you know, we've talked about the highs and the lows, why does God allow the lows to happen? And, you know, sort of the same question is like, why do bad things happen to good people?
You know, you could also look at it this way, like, you know, everybody, what you're saying right now, everybody always questions, why does God let the lows happen? You know? Or you could also ask the same thing, why does God let the highs happen to you? I mean, you know, you can ask it both ways, but I know where you're going with it, so I'll let you finish on the lows.
I was thinking like if we didn't experience the lows in our lives, we wouldn't appreciate the highs as much. And I don't think we would experience the amount of happiness and joy that we find in the highs if we didn't feel the sadness and sorrow that we feel in the lows.
Yeah.
And I think I saw something... I read it somewhere, and it was saying that here on earth, in this life, like, we're only going to get to, you know, worship God through sorrow and pain and suffering this one time. Like, when we get to heaven, there's not going to be any of that. So I think it's, like, a beautiful thing to be able to choose to still, you know,
still choose
God when you're in those hard moments. And
it's not that easy all the time, because in the previous episode of 3 and 4, if you've watched it, then you would have heard, like, you know, me talking about how it was, you know, I didn't want to even talk to God during that time. Like, I done got so, you know, just down in that low that I just didn't want to talk about it, you know. So, you know, it can get bad in a low.
Yeah.
But, you know, you also need to just really try to stay focused, like you want to know why. Like, even though I was upset during that time, I still questioned. Like, I was still asking why, you know, during that. But I think now that I've made it through that, which in my mind was like a really low,
Yeah.
Is now like I can look back on it, see where I made it through it, and God was still there for you.
Oh yeah. He's still going to stay there for you.
And look, we have Della and Adeline now, and Della came right after Madeline, so it's like,
yeah,
it really. I know that was our first child, but like, it really, I feel like done something to me to make me love her even more than I could think about loving a child in the first place. And so like, I think that's what you're talking about, like as far as makes you truly appreciate the highs whenever they come.
Yeah, and it made me think of like, sort of like a contrast, like God created light, but because of light, the opposite of light is darkness. So then it's like you have these.
I like this.
So you have like these things like you can't, like, because of, like, there's, heat is the absence of, cold is the absence of heat. And so it's like, there's like these opposite things. There's this darkness, like God created the light. You have to have both. You can't have one without the other. So I feel like
Which if you think about it, if you always had just highs, I don't think you would ever really truly understand how to appreciate a high.
Have the thankfulness. Yeah.
But the only thing that can help you in a low, even though like I've talked about where it was really hard.
Yeah, I think.
And I'm not proud of that, but it's. I also realize that like looking at God and talking to Him, is going to help you through more than anything in a low.
I think people. Like, they look at it and they think, well, why would God let this happen? Like, how could a loving God let this bad thing happen? And that's what I'm saying. I think He allows us to go through hard things, but I don't think He creates those bad things. It's just that because there
you may not know
is
yet.
that.
Like, He may be trying to create something stronger in you.
Oh, yeah.
That you don't understand. Like, you don't see it yet. That He's trying to build you. Mold you into something.
I'm saying, that
and it could be nothing more than just to be a parent to guide your child in the right direction. That could be what He's molding you for, of a low.
And when I was thinking about this, one of my favorite TV shows I've ever watched was This Is Us, and there's this quote from it. And when I was thinking about this topic, that quote came into my mind, and I'll have to look back at it because I want to say it right. But I thought it's just so true and resonates with this because it's sort of on topic. And it says, the tragedies are the fence post of our life. Or she says, it's the tragedies that define our lives. They are the fence post on which the rest of our lives hang. And ever since I heard that, it just never really left because I thought... That's so true because I feel like the tragedies in our life have really been the fence post. Like, it's like there's a time before that happened and a time after. Like,
yeah,
they have really, like, defined.
In order to get a whole fence, you got to have your fence post. If not, all your wires just going to lay on the ground.
Yeah.
So, it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, kind of so I think they strengthen us and...
I really like that. I ain't never heard that.
Yeah, that was really one of my favorite shows.
But I like that about the fence post. Like, I'm sure that I will reference something like that to somebody, not even realizing it. I do that. I like that though about the fence post. What's strengthening.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about this topic, that line came into my head, and I thought that's so true, and it goes with this, that we kind of grow from those, and it strengthens us, and we always just have that. Yeah, I think they just kind of off that they build character and make us into the person that we are, and like we said, appreciate. Like I wouldn't have the gratefulness and thankfulness that I have of being Della and Adeline's mom. That I didn't go through losing Madeline, I don't think I would have the same appreciation for it.
You would still love your kids.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. What. I would love them.
But I think you have a deeper appreciation instead of just an appreciation.
Yes, I just treasure it even more because I know how special and how...
And that's something like, it don't have to be like losing a child, for a low. I mean, it can be...
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just saying, though, that there can be other lows.
Yeah.
That could be financial. You could be having a financial low, and, if you're having, like, just say you're having a financial low, and you're like, okay, I really need to do this. Like, I need to have more money to be able to accomplish this or to pay bills, You still need to look at God and pray to Him and ask Him to help you during that. Because that's the one that, anytime you go through a low, you always need to turn to God. Like, that's the only thing that's going to really, truly help you is, that's, kind of like it, you look back to what I was saying earlier about the thorn. I was having to move that big stand, and my daddy was helping me. And, it's like, you need your Father there to help you, which is your Heavenly Father to help you when you're struggling, no matter what you're struggling with. So, I think that's a good way to look at how to handle a low. Anytime you're struggling at something, you need your Heavenly Father there to help you.
Yeah.
That will build you just like on them fence posts. It's a strength,
Yeah, and when we were going through that, through a low when we lost Madeline, one of my favorite books that I read during that time was this one, It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lisa Turkhurst. And I remember people would say, oh, well, God won't give you more than you can handle. And when I read this book, it had a really good thing in here for that. And it says, I keep thinking about the statement everyone throws out in times like these, God won't give you more than you can handle, but that's actually not in the Bible. God does say He won't allow us to be tempted beyond what we can bear, and that He always provides a way out. But that's not the same as God not giving us more than we can handle. It says He sometimes will allow more and more and more. It says, God doesn't expect us to handle this. He wants us to hand this over to Him. He doesn't want us to rally more of our own strength. He wants us to solely rely on His strength.
So what you're saying is sometimes whenever you feel like you're being faced with more
than you can handle, because you're not really supposed to handle it. You're
turn
supposed
it over
to
to
give
Him
it
instead of being like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out another solution of how I can overcome this.
Yeah.
Whenever
you're supposed to just
you try that and you end up getting more on you, you need to just turn it over.
Yeah.
And see, that's something I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Is because anytime I'm faced in a situation, it don't necessarily have to be an extreme situation, but anytime I'm faced with something, I'm like, okay, go back to the drawing board. I'll figure this out. I can figure it out. So I just might, I don't know, I kind of think sometimes that's just wired in a man's DNA is just to constantly try to fix it yourself. And so that's like a hard thing for me to get to the point where I'm like, Brad, you have to stop.
Yeah.
You got to hand this over to Him. You cannot fix everything.
Yeah.
There's some things that you just have to really, truly turn over to Him and rely on Him to handle it in His way of however He sees fit to handle it.
Yeah.
And trust in the process. Sometimes it's harder than others, though.
Yeah, it is.
It'll test your strength and boundaries and everything else, But I think that's a lot of times how relationships are really molded and formed is, by having all that tested.
Yeah. This Bible verse, which I found a lot of comfort in, that's 1 Peter 5:10, and it says, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." So I think that's just like a really good promise that, we are going to suffer, but he is with us and he's going to restore us and make us stronger through it. So I thought that was a good verse of just finding the hope in it.
But I mean that ain't saying okay, I'm gonna talk to God every single time I have a low, and all your pain, whatever's gonna be gone, and your tears are gonna be gone. No, there'll be a lot of times that just talking to God, you're gonna just get emotional.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like that's when you're really getting that relationship with God. That you're, and it ain't got to be a low. I've experienced also like during a high.
Yeah.
Growing closer to God during the high also, like where it's nothing else. Like you're not saying, "Hey, help me." Mm-hmm. You're just more so sitting there thanking Him for a high. And I think that falls back from where you went through a low. You're on a high, so you're sitting here thanking Him for the one true. Like finally, I get a high. I'm not in a low. Like you learn to truly appreciate a high so much more than you used to. And I think that's just part of growing up also. And
going through
building your relationship stronger with Him.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it's all about, is that relationship and trusting in Him.
And that's all He wants is a relationship. And you literally just trust Him. Yeah. But I don't know what it is about human nature. It's just it's just hard for us to let go of control of our own self. But you need to give God full control over you to use you in however He sees fit to.
And I think this podcast was a big thing of that to me, because I just think I'd kind of been running away from this for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's just like I just feel such a sense of this is what we are supposed to be doing, and this is I've just really felt that lately, that we're on the right track, and just
I agree.
Completely, gave it to God and be like, just use me to show people to you.
Alright, see, I pray a thing that's similar to what you just said. It's like, God, please use me as a tool out of your toolbox to anything that's going to help you in any way. Like, I want to be a part of what you're building. Like, I don't want it for nothing to go towards me. I just want you to use me so I get to be a part of your big plan.
Yeah, today at church, when our pastor, he was talking, and, at the end, he was talking about being in like a marathon, and he was like, it's that you finished, and it's not. And
it's also,
your
victory can be the journey too.
Yeah. And I just thought, that's when I kind of had this sense of, okay, we are doing the right thing. Like, our goal is Him, and what we put our time and effort into. And I think a lot of the time when I was thinking of things to do, it was like, oh, well, I could do this and I could do that, but I want to do something that's for Him,
And I think it's also really good to be plugged in at a church. That seems to help a lot also. And because I remember even in my mind, I used to think, like, I don't have to be at church to hear God. And I mean, that's true.
Yeah,
you don't. Because I used to think, man, I can get close to God whenever I'm deer hunting. I'm 15 feet higher than anybody else whenever I'm in a tree stand. Like, I'm getting that much closer to Him. Like I remember you used to whenever I was a kid. I think that's where, it talks about like growing, maturing as a Christian. Whenever I was young as a Christian, that was my mindset. Like I didn't need to be there. I could be hunting and I would still be close. And, but like the more I've got older, I have realized like it's better to be plugged in at a church so you can be there with a church family, and it really helps you to gain friends, that way. We've been very fortunate with the preacher that we had is phenomenal. Like, he's so willing to just talk to you, just so normal, to you anytime you want to. Always so loving, open arms. And then you got so many, and that's how our whole church family really is that way. Everybody's got open arms ready to love you. So I think it's very good to be plugged into a church that's going to be that way.
Yeah, and I think having people to get you through those lows and times, I think we were talking about, I think having friends through those times to help you is a big thing too. And being the friend, I think that's a big thing too. Like, I want to be the friend that helps somebody through their low time and be an intentional friend. Like, it's because everybody gets so busy and it's just like, oh, I'll just send them a text and say, this. But it's like, you can really go out of your way and do something for that person instead of just sending a text.
During that hard time that we went through with losing Madeline, I had some really close friends, that, I could open up and talk to them if I wanted to. I had two buddies that come to mind that I would classify as my best friends that's always been really close to me. And I could have told them whatever if I wanted to. Yeah. But with me being a man, it's just hard to want to tell another man because it's like, I don't want to burden him with my problems. Like, he ain't got time to listen to me. Like, you think that way. But deep down, if he's really as true as a friend as what you think he is, he's going to listen to whatever you're going to tell him. And after going through what we've went through, it's made me realize, like what you're talking about, I want to be the one to help somebody. It's like, I don't want to see any of my buddies go through anything like we went to. Okay. But if they have a hard time, I hope that they can look at me and say, you know what, Brad will listen to me. Brad will listen to me. I can talk to him about it. He's not going to judge me and make me feel like he ain't got time to hear me out for the day. Yeah. Because I wish now, looking back on it, I would have, I think, talked to one of my buddies or either both of them. Yeah. Because I think that might would have helped some. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't have bottled up so much because I just thought, hey, I'm a man, I can handle it. Yeah. But, everybody fights battles in their head every day, regardless how good of a face they can put on and smile. Yeah. So you got to really be cautious on how you look at somebody.
I think of like the saying, like, it takes a village,
to raise a family.
Yeah, and I think
we was actually talking about that last night.
Everybody wants a village, but not everybody wants to be a villager. Like,
they don't want to put forth that effort.
Yeah, and so I think that's the important thing is, like, you have to be a villager to have a village to help you too. Like, I think people just,
You know what, I like that. Like, and I'm going to reference it with hunting right here of how I can relate and how some of my buddies will. And I've got one of them, that comes to mind like instantly that, I can say, hey, hunting season's coming up. It's time to start prepping for hunting season. So food plots need putting in, cameras need putting out, tree stands, stuff like that. And he'll say, okay, when do I need to be there? Yeah. And he's ready to help you right then. And you can count on him. Like, he's going to be there and come help you. And so it's like that. That's what you're saying. But now, if you expect one of your buddies or all your buddies to help you like that, you need to be the same in return and help them whenever they need help prepping or whatever for hunting. And that's how you should be in a family, in a church family. You should be willing to help in any way that if God's leading you in a direction, you know that, hey, I need to help do this in my church.
Yeah.
And check with the preacher, check with Sunday school teachers, check with somebody and see if, you know, help if that's where you can.
Yeah. I think that just, the highs and the lows, gonna sum it up.
Yeah, we got to rambling there for a minute.
I kind of got off, but I think that was important too.
But it's okay, they can hear other stuff too.
I know, but I'm saying I think that was important too, to how to help somebody through, you know, be the friend you want when you're going through a low, and but about
and
God.
That is the thing. Like, everybody's not blessed to have a family that really backs them. Or even, there's probably some people out there that feel like, hey, I don't have one extremely close friend, best friend that I could turn to. That's why it's so important to have that relationship with God. Because that's one that will never, you know, not be there for you. You'll always have one person that you can talk to. So I think that's why it's such an importance to have that relationship with God.
Yeah. You can always turn to Him.
Mm-hmm. No matter what, even if you ain't got nobody else, you got Him that you can always turn to. But that's about all I've got today.
Yeah, I think that was just kind of the message that was on my heart today, was about why God lets those happen, and, you know.
Don't make them easier.
Yeah, it doesn't make it easier, but I do think there is a purpose for it, and I think just knowing that there's somebody else that has been through the same thing you've been through.
I just had this come to my mind. An analogy, what you're talking about, a low, you know, and a high. All right. To get something good, like to get that high, you're saying you go through a low, and it strengthens you, builds you to get to that point. All right, you take like a piece of steel that you're going to make a knife out of. You know, you're going to stick that thing in a furnace, a fire, turn it red hot. You're going to beat on it with a hammer, you know, trying to get out that perfect edge on it. Then you're going to take a grinder and shave off what you don't want off of it. Then you're going to put it and fine tune it and get a perfect edge. You know, that piece of metal went through all kind of what we would think is horrible if you was a human.
Yeah.
You know, to become a perfect looking piece of art.
Yeah.
You know, which is a knife. So it sculpts you into something. You know, and that turns out to be something really good then.
Yeah.
That wasn't really nothing at the beginning. So I just had that come in my mind real quick. Yeah. So I just had to share that. And then I'm done. I'll quit rambling and talking.
No, that was good.
I just felt like that kind of fit.
Yeah. And I think that... Well, we will see y'all guys next time.
Thank y'all for watching.